Welcome back to Tech TV here in Austin. I'm really pleased to be joined by Brandon from Losant. How's it going?
It's going good, happy to be here.
Thank you very much for being here, it's a pleasure. So, talk to us all about what you guys do at Losant.
Yeah, so some of our kind of key industries revolve around industrial equipment manufacturers and smart environment. So some of the interesting things that we see in industrial equipment monitoring are, companies like Ingersoll Rand, they're doing some really interesting stuff, remote monitoring. We also do a lot with telecommunications, so companies like Verizon's a really good customer of ours. They do equipment monitoring there, they do asset tracking. So we see a lot of use cases across a large number of customers.
I want to pick on the industrial side of things because the manufacturing side is something that's really growing because the last 2 years, people haven't been able to go into factories as much because of coronavirus and all sorts of things impacting production line. How are you guys bringing things to the edge and giving people more access to their data?
Yeah, so a lot of times when we think about IoT and manufacturing, our minds always go to the factory floor. We really don't play on the factory floor. We've really found and enabled this opportunity for, it's the same customers, the manufacturers, really thinking about how do they add value to the customers, customer-facing IoT. So while we're not on the factory floor, what we're doing is enabling these manufacturers to turn the stuff they manufacture into connected products. So that's kind of an untapped market. There's a lot of opportunity there. And I'm working hard to try to get these manufacturers to think about, what can we do beyond just the factory? What can we do that adds value to the end customer?
I can't see that I've seen many vendors do that and take that approach. What made you guys want to pivot towards that customer-facing side of things?
Well, the manufacturing process, IoT is a competitive space. There's a lot of players there, and what we found as a product was this kind of untapped niche in that customer-facing side. So that's what we brought to our product strategy. We brought tools and features in specifically designed for kind of customer-facing. That's white labeling, branding, multi-tenancy, a lot of stuff that isn't seen in other IoT platforms. So for us, it was driven by demand. These companies wanted to do this, but the ecosystem of platform and tools really wasn't fulfilling that requirement.
So on that, I think that's a really poignant point because not many people are doing this, and I think where can you see this leading to? Because I can see potential ROI increases. What are you guys looking at?
Yeah, that's definitely the story. The most obvious is different ways to generate revenue, especially for an industrial. They're kind of used to that one-time revenue model. I buy it, I get my revenue. Maybe there's some service or maintenance revenue. But IoT services, connected products, are almost always sold as a subscription model. So it allows these companies to introduce recurring revenue models. That's the highest ROI, that's the easiest kind of way to sell that vision internally if you're a product manager in one of those companies. So why does the business care about doing this? Well, we can change the way we do revenue. The other one is competitive advantage, customer satisfaction. A lot of these types of companies are very competitive. So if you've got a product, you've got some technology, it's really valuable to set yourself apart from the competition. So we see that, and as well as customer satisfaction, there's a lot of ROI in that. Can you think of a better customer experience than if your thing breaks and you get notified and it says, oh, I've already contacted one of our service partners, we're on the way, we'll get you up and running in no time. Really makes the whole experience a lot better.
What kind of feedback are you guys getting on this? Because it's something that I think manufacturers would want, right? What are you kind of getting on that?
Oh yeah, we're getting really positive feedback. Our customers that do get something in the market, the customers really like it. And it really does set themselves apart. They're really energetic. They like to, to show off what they built with our platform, and shows like this, it just looks really nice. Makes them come across as a much more innovative company compared to their peers. So the response has been great. The products that we see being developed are really interesting. And ultimately, I think we're going to continue seeing this trend.
So, do you think that's one of the main trends going into next year for IoT Edge?
Yeah, I think a real big trend right now is around the customer experience. So, for many years, IoT was focused really solving the company's own problems, internal. How do I reduce costs? How do I optimize? That's great, really big business there. But what we are seeing, I'm hearing it here also, that this year is a trend to how do I push back solving my own problems, and how do I add value to customers? How do I improve the customer experience not just the internal business experience. So I think we're going to see that more and more. We'll see it next year, we'll see it in the next few years.
And we're here in Austin. There's a lot of companies, hard and software, that I could see benefiting from what you guys are doing. What's your kind of play to them? What would you say to them going into next year?
Well, we like to say it takes a village to implement an IoT solution. We are the software platform. It takes a lot more than that. We partner with a lot of hardware vendors, especially in industrial equipment. A really successful way to get started that is, we call it a retrofit. Get a gateway or something inexpensive that gets introduced, installed directly in the equipment, interfaces with the controller. So a really big play for gateway manufacturers that run our edge agent, connectivity providers. What we see is the equipment is fielded. So one of the easiest and most straightforward connectivity options is cellular. So a really big opportunity for cellular and connectivity vendors, especially when you do customer facing. Now you're adding connectivity to every piece of equipment you manufacture. It's not a restricted set of points where maybe it's one or two or a handful of factories. It's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of units out there. So a lot of opportunity for the gateway vendors, a lot of opportunity for connectivity. And then the SI, the agencies, the software development firms, a lot of opportunity for them too. Somebody's going to be taking all this, system integrators, kind of pulling all this together. So these are much bigger, much more valuable solutions, and so the opportunity for the entire ecosystem of tech vendors is pretty big.
It sounds like there's a lot on your plate, but what's coming up for next year? What can those out listening right now imagine from Losant coming up in the next few months?
I mentioned that customer experience a lot, that user interface, and that's where we're investing a lot of time and energy. Our platform is very easy to use, but it still takes some work. If you want to make that customer-facing portal, so we're going to be putting out a lot of functionality to make that a lot easier. We want to make the ability to create these branded multi-tenant applications very approachable, so you don't need large, complicated software development firms. You can be very successful with small teams, but still being able to build very large, scalable solutions.
Well, I look forward to seeing it come through. Until then, Brandon, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, all the best.